Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we are here today to do another book review. I'm very excited to talk about this because I really wanted to chat about this author when I read her last book, but I don't think I did a full review on the last book I read by her because it came out in like 2016 and I read it last year. I think I read it in November. I think I read it just a few months ago. But anyways, today we are going to be talking about The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. Before I get into that though, I just want to give my merch page another shout out. This is my Scarapy sweatshirt with our little ghost Wilbur. Hopefully y'all can see everything. I know my camera cuts at a weird spot right about here. But if you are interested in buying my Scarapy merch, there will be a link down below. Good news, my little sister who designed this this image, she finished up the second design for my upcoming shirt. I know a lot of people asked if the Scarapy sweatshirt could come in a shirt. I think there is like a weird option on Zazzle for that to happen. But I'm going to make sure that there are shirt options of the Scarapy shirt. I have seen several of you guys posting about my mugs, and that made me so happy. I love the mugs. I'm so happy with this design that my sister did. I cannot wait for you guys to see the second design. As I've said before, it will be more gothic lit focused than just Scarapy, but I'm very excited to share it with you, and I will update you as that continues to go on. But yes, anyway, if you're interested in buying my Scarapy Horror for Mental Health merch, it is going to be down in the link below, and I am just very excited about it. Anyways, let's talk about my book review. So today we're going to be talking about The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor, who, as this book clearly says, is the author of The Chalk Man. I read The Chalk Man. I bought that book blindly because I saw somebody on Instagram, I think it was Baltimortal on Instagram, had posted that he was reading it, and I was like, ooh, that sounds really cool, because you know I love the Snowman and the Chestnut Man, and a lot of times any kind of blank man thriller. And it was a coming-of-age story that was very much paying homage to Stephen King's It, which, as y'all know, is my all-time favorite novel ever. So I really wanted to read it, and I really loved it. It got a 5-star review from me. It is very bleak and very disturbing, and it has some very questionable trigger warning imagery in it. I will say that left me very confused. But at the end of the day, I really liked CJ Tudor's writing, and I liked kind of her style of horror. It's more rooted in like real life horror than supernatural horror, and I just found it very well done and fun, and she likes to have all of these kind of twists and turns in her books, and I thought it worked really well. So I wanted to read The Burning Girls because that was her second highest rated novel, and this did come out, I believe, in 2021. Yes, this was released at the beginning of 2021. And so now, like a year and a half later, I am finally reading it. I'm gonna read the back, or the inside flap of the book, if you will. A dark history lingers in Chapelcroft. 500 years ago, Protestant martyrs were betrayed, then burned. 30 years ago, 2 teenage girls disappeared without a trace. And a few weeks ago, the vicar of the local parish hanged himself in the nave of the church. Reverend Jack Brooks, a single parent with a 14-year-old daughter and a heavy conscience, arrives in the village hoping for a fresh start. Instead, Jack finds a town rife with conspiracies and secrets, and is greeted with a strange welcome package, an exorcism kit, and a note that warns, but there is nothing covered up that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. The more Jack and daughter Flo explore the town and get to know its strange denizens, the deeper they are drawn into the age-old rifts, mysteries, and suspicions. And when Flo begins to see specters of girls ablaze, it becomes apparent that there are ghosts here that refuse to be laid to rest. Uncovering the truth can be deadly in a village with a bloody past, where everyone has something to hide and no one trusts an outsider. So I really enjoyed this book. Similar to The Chalk Man, this did get a 5-star rating from me. Also similar to The Chalk Man, I did kind of teeter on whether it should be a 4-star. This was a very low 5-star rating for me. And the reason that is because there's a few scenes in here that do deserve a trigger warning that I read and was definitely a little uncomfortable reading about. CJ Tudor definitely takes on a slightly extreme tone with some of the younger characters in her novels that kind of upset me a bit. But nothing to the point where I would label this at all any kind of like extreme horror, but that is there, and it is a little uncomfortable, and it does seem to be a big theme with CJ Tudor. Another thing that CJ Tudor does love to do is to talk about, I guess she loves to dissect members of the church as very fallible figures. And I think in the Chalkman, you get kind of the priest can be the bad guy kind of angle. In this one, you get more the priest is the good guy, but maybe doesn't fit the mold that we're expected a holy person to fit. And I really, really, really liked the attitude of our main character, who is, I think it's pronounced vicar, of the what is it, the Church of England? I believe it's the Church of England in this. So not the Catholic Church, because I know they talk about that a lot. But yes, so this was really interesting. This had a very predictable twist ending, and then one very not so predictable twist ending. And I kind of figured out the predictable twist ending pretty early on, saw how it was leading up, but I wasn't quite sure how it wove into the rest of the story. And then there was one twist ending that fully blindsided me, and I really, really liked it, because when it happened, I was like, oh shit, I did not see that coming, like, at all, and I love when that happens. CJ Tudor kind of does a trick, which I don't want to say the movie, because it will give away the reveal, but she references at the beginning of a book a film that's very famous for its twist ending, and then towards the end of the book, when the twist happens, brings that twist up again. And it's just very nice to know that, like, from the very beginning, she told you, pay attention to this, and then completely convinces you to ignore and forget that, and then brings it back up, and you're like, oh my god, she totally told us that was happening. And I just didn't see it. And I really, really liked that. I thought it was really cool. It was a fun way of foreshadowing. It was a nice little, like, nod to the reader. And I thought it was really fun. I really liked the characters in this. I love how all of the characters kind of teeter on the edge of morality in many, many ways. They play up a lot of the ideas of, like, misfits and outcasts inside of a small town. I really like the small town. They play the history up just a little bit. I really thought I was going to get more of, like, a 1500s, like, witch burning kind of backstory with this, but I didn't. It was just kind of, this is the legend of the town, take that as you will, and then you were able to take that legend and kind of weave it into our two main stories, which of course is our overarching narrative, and then of course the mystery of what happened to these two girls who disappeared in the 90s. And I really loved how everything was woven together. Comparing it to The Resting Place by Camilla Sten, which I have a whole review on that, I just read that. And that's another novel that twists something that happened like 30, 40 years prior with something that's happening in present day. And just the way that CJ Tudor wove her stories together was just so superior to the way Camilla Sten did it. And since I read them so close together, I just can't help but compare them. But I really, really liked this. I will say there are a lot of characters in this book. This is only 300 pages, but you really, really meet the whole town. And it took me a little bit to really familiarize myself with who all of the characters are, because they're all very connected. There are multiple vicars. I'm so saying that wrong. Let's find out. Okay, it is vicar. Google says it's vicar. So there's multiple vicars in this novel, and they all kind of just go by last names, and so it took me a hot minute to figure out who was who. There's a lot of teenage characters, lots and lots and lots of townspeople, and they're all, of course, because it's a small town, very well connected. But I really liked it. I kind of liked how you had to, like, follow this thread to get to the source kind of thing. So it's like experiment. If you keep pulling the thread, eventually the whole thing unravels. That's the quote. But I really, really liked how that worked, and I really liked how it was, again, not only revealing the mystery that was taking place, but also revealing a lot of the mysteries that had taken place and cast a shadow over the town for the last several hundred years. I liked the lore of the Burning Girls. It was not as prominent as I thought it was going to be, even though it's the title of the book. But I thought it was a really nice little nod. I don't know if I would call this a ghost story at all, though there are ghosts in this book. It's one of those where, like, the ghosts are there and the story maybe wouldn't have happened without the ghosts, but I don't think I would call this a ghost story at all. This is more of a thriller. This is more of a psychological kind of whodunit serial killer kind of thing. And I really, really appreciated that. And I did just like that there's just this sprinkling of the supernatural to push everything forward, but it's not dependent on the supernatural. Anyway, CJ Tudor has a very cliffhangery writing style, I would say. She writes from perspectives. The vast majority of the novel is told through our main character, Jack's perspective, in first person narrative, and then the other chapters are told in a third person about the daughter, Flo. And I really liked that. I will say the perspective thing really threw me off. It was weird. I really don't care for that too much, the switching of perspectives in that regards. But I will say that it was really good at leaving you on cliffhangers. You would end a chapter with Jack and be like, oh my god, what's about to happen? And then it would pick up with Flo. And then you would end the chapter with Flo and you would be like, oh my god, no, Flo, what's about to happen? And then immediately get like another gratification because you were picking up where Jack had left off. And it sounds kind of like scattered and like pulling you two different ways, but they were all leading up to you coming to the same conclusion towards the end, so it worked really, really well. It's a very odd, fast-paced style of writing, but I really enjoyed it. It made me feel like I was watching television instead of just reading a book, so I appreciate that quite a lot. I think overall, I probably still like the Chalk Man more, but I was really, really impressed with this. I will absolutely be picking up more from CJ Tudor. She's got 2 other books that were released in between this and the Chalk Man, and I will definitely have to take a look at those, though I have been told that this and the Chalk Man are her 2 strongest books. So do with that what you will. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoy these videos, please give me a like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah!